Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hummingbird Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Julie Renton. In this episode, I had a special guest over. Her name is MiMi Zackery. She's a lifestyle entrepreneur. This woman, let me tell you, she has inspired me in ways that I don't even think she knew about. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way. In my opinion, MiMi is like the definition of a girl boss. She has been in business for herself for over 20 years. She started back when I don't believe that a lot of people really even knew that you had the freedom to work from home or make money for yourself, work for yourself. I don't think entrepreneurship then was as commonly known or was in the radar of others the way it is today. So I have great admiration for her because she has hustled so hard since like the mid 90s to get to where she is today. So if you or anyone you know is pursuing a career in entrepreneurship or is interested in learning more about it and what it takes to really be the boss of your own time and make money for yourself, this is definitely a conversation that you don't want to miss. Also, MiMi gets really vulnerable during this conversation and sharing about grief and what she's unfortunately been having to learn about coping with grief or how grief presents itself in so many different ways because she's recently suffered a great loss. Her son, her only child, has transitioned. It was an unexpected transition. And she shares a little bit of that as well, you know, how she's coping with it and how she hopes that in the future, whatever she's learning and she's putting out there in the world about grief, that it may help others as well. So I'm not going to leave you all waiting anymore. This was so much fun, so much fun. I was super honored to have her on, and I hope that you all enjoy the conversation as well.
Your background is amazing.
Thank you. It's like a tiny little corner in my room. I'm gonna send you a picture later.
It's amazing.
So you can see what it is. And it's just like making it seem like it's a different room, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And it's always lovely to see you, your beautiful
lovely
face.
To see you too.
We tried doing this again. So for anybody listening, we did do this once before, but we had like a bunch of technical difficulties and we just said, okay, no, scratch. We're going to do this over again. So, you know, anybody who will be listening to this, I wanted to welcome you. Thank you once again for being on the podcast. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. Like I told you already, like you were someone that was in the back of my head that I wanted to have on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing with my coffee. You just saw I saved my first cup of coffee to chat with you. So it's like because it's like noon here. So I saved it. I was like, no, I'm gonna have coffee.
And I have some water.
Yeah. Oh, look, I got water too. Oh man, so what's going on in your life right now? I know you're always busy.
I am doing better, you know. As you know, my son Sean passed away on February 20th unexpectedly. The more I've been learning about death and grief and just every day just taking time to like sit with my emotions and such. It's I feel like I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Would you agree with the statement that grief comes in like waves? Because I have a lot of friends who have suffered, you know, great losses in their lives with like loved ones. And I feel like the common thread that every single one of us, every single one of them has always kind of like highlighted is you think you're okay and then it kind of hits you in waves, right? But even in experiencing those waves, at some point you are better about handling them and going, like you said, sitting with the emotions, acknowledging it, and then figuring out ways to move forward. So does that sound like pretty much what your experience has been so far?
Exactly. I think it was yesterday I was washing dishes and I wringed out the towel and I started hitting the floor with it.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it comes in waves, and like my friend Chris says, the goal is to learn how to cope because this is never going away
Yeah.
ever, until of course I transition. But yeah, you can be driving down the street and just scream, and you have days where you have good. I have good days too, because it's always like a good memory that I might think about, and I'll focus on that one good memory like all day.
Yeah. And I find it really interesting, and I think it's probably, I don't even know that a lot of people would even think to do this, but there is a lot of power in allowing your emotions to come through, to like feel them, acknowledge them, and then actually allow them to move through you, and putting action behind them. So like you said, like if you have to like throw something, punch something, scream,
Do
that
it.
is very powerful. It's healing, but I don't know that a lot of us ever maybe grew up feeling like we had a space to do that because maybe others were uncomfortable. People are usually uncomfortable when they see a person in pain. It's uncomfortable for them. And so that discomfort sort of like blocks the person from feeling and going through the motion of it. So it's actually really healing. Like that's what I thought about right now. You saying how you just like were out there and like punching and hitting and throwing. That's very healing.
And what I learned from it is you just like the trauma, because that's what it is. It gets stuck in your nervous system. And so I learned like different techniques, like laying down on your back and shaking your feet or shaking your hands. And you can really feel it come out. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are grieving all kinds of things like divorces, death, loss of a job,
Loss of a
anything.
dream. And you're like not the first person who has mentioned, how trauma and stress really do stick to your body. Like I've had several people on here discuss that or mention it in, different situations they're going through or whatever. And I'm always reminded how emotion is energy in motion. And that's why it's so important to allow that release to happen. Otherwise, it does stay within your body. But I am glad that you are, because you are a very mindful person, just from conversations that we have had in the past and just in how you move, within your space and how you handle your business and just you as a person are very aware and work very hard at being mindful. So I'm not surprised that through this tragic loss, right, an unexpected tragic loss that you suffered, that you are finding ways to cope with it in a healthy way. I'm not surprised at all by that. Yeah, because you always give me such a peaceful sort of like, vibe. You're so calm with your person. And the last time that we talked, you were actually saying how a lot of times that serves almost as a negative in a way because people misunderstand and they think, oh, she's just so peaceful. She must have everything together.
Yeah. And I mean, for the most part, I do work on, I would say, designing my life, but it's not perfect, and I don't have everything together. Like right here in my office, it's just, people, but my friends, if they saw my desk like this, they're like, no way. Like, yes, I have a stack of papers that I need to go through.
Yeah, but
But
you
yeah, so that's why I'm probably the most misunderstood, really. Like, people just think that I have it all together. Like, when I post stories and I ask people to ask me a question, I get stuff like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And like, some of my friends are being sarcastic. I know some of them, but it's like, it's a lot of people that says that. And I'm like, no, you're going to be better than me because I'm just out here like winging it.
surviving.
Okay. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Well, you're making it look good because you do. You're so calm. Well, at least you try to be so calm and like I
I
said,
do.
mindful,
I really do.
and that does transmit. It transmits in the things you share. It transmits in the work you do because you do share a lot of your work on social media. It transmits in conversations that we've had, even if they're very brief. It transmits totally. So that's like a gift
Yeah.
that you have. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
gift.
It's taking work. I used to be, yeah. Well, I grew up in the projects, so we were just loud people,
Yeah.
so, but as I grew up and started doing business, I think doing business really helped me tone down a lot because you just can't, I mean, you can, you have your people, everybody have their people.
Yeah.
So I would never dare say if you're loud and high energy that you
That you have to
won't.
tone it down.
Yeah, like you don't, you know? I just chose to do that.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes.
people are doing very well in life being whatever they want to be.
Right. Yeah. And I
Hmm.
think that that's probably like the thing. Like you chose for you because that was working for you.
Exactly.
I was wondering about that too because I'm actually the family that we grew up in. Well, just culturally speaking, and then the personalities within my family, we
Hmm.
are very loud.
Hmm.
I mean, without even trying to. Like, especially whenever we show a lot of like our love through like food.
Hmm.
And so anytime that we gather with like food and we're
It's a
having a good
party.
time, yeah, it's a party and people
Yeah.
are laughing. And then don't get me
Yeah.
started when the coffee comes out. It's like a comforting cultural thing for us. And we are
Hmm.
very loud. But I also do find that as I get older, and I don't know if it's the aging, part of like the aging process, or the fact that I do have a lot of people around me 24/7. Because when I was younger, I could check out at some point. If you weren't having a good day, you were tired, you could just remove yourself from that environment and have
Hmm.
alone time. And I think since becoming a mom, well, there's been a lot of times where I don't have the freedom to do that. Like somebody needs something at all times. And so I
Hmm.
don't know if it's maybe due to that, but I've also slowly have been learning to appreciate slow mornings, kind of ridding myself of that idea of the hustle all the time,
Yeah.
because also for a long time I felt like if you're not hustling, then you're failing somehow.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm done with that. I think,
Hmm.
right as of right now, I don't know what my destiny will look like in the future, but for
Hmm.
right now, I'm really embracing that. And when I can, I do practice that. And
Hmm.
so I'm curious to know how has that been for you, like the transformation?
Yeah, I think for me, it happened in 2014, 2015. I was burnt out, because I've been going full force since 96 up until 2015. And I was just exhausted and I needed a break. So I took a little bit of a break, and that's kind of how I learned about the slow morning routines and things like that. And when I started to practice it, I found joy in it, and I found that I can work smart. I don't have to work super hard. I don't have to work super long. I could just work smart and be able to, create a great income doing something that is fulfilling to me.
And with that, I want to ask if you can maybe share with the rest of our listeners, because I kind of already know a little bit about your backstory, but maybe you can tell them how is it, because you are your own boss and you've, like you said, you've been doing this since like the mid 90s. You were very, very young. You were a single mom and you said, I need to work for myself. But, I know that you have also mentioned that you didn't always think of entrepreneurship as something that you wanted to do. Like, I don't even believe that it was in your radar
Right.
until a specific experience in your life, right? So, like, if you don't mind sharing with us how that
Sure.
came about and how it is that you took this path that you've been on now for so long.
Sure. So I got pregnant at 19. I was in my first year of university. And when I went back to work, went back to work on my son was 6 weeks. And a few months later, he was in daycare, and the daycare called and said, call my job, and said that I needed to come pick him up because he had been crying profusely for hours, and they didn't know, what was wrong because, was fed, he had been dried. They didn't really know what was wrong. And my boss told me that I couldn't leave. So I had to get my grandmother to pick him up. But I feel like it was my first defining moment. Like, it's either my job or providing for my child. And I didn't want to choose, but I didn't know anything about starting a business. Like I said, I was from the ghetto. The only thing I knew was get a good job, go to school, get a good job.
Work your nine to
And
five and
yeah, and no one really said it like, I mean, that's just what we did. No
yeah.
one said to me, "Oh, go to school, get a good job." You know, how people say that, they use it loosely all the time, but no one really said that. It's just that's what people did, and people that kind of did it around me was my grandparents. Like, they had pretty good jobs, but they didn't go to school, but they just had pretty good jobs to provide for their families. So I had good role models for sure, all of my grandparents. But it was one day I was working with my uncle, and I sold some art, and I gave him the profits and he gave me pennies.
And you were like, wait a
And
minute.
that was like, what is this? Like,
Yeah. Like, I was
yeah.
here and I sold for you, sir.
Yeah, I'm like, I gave you all this money and this is what you're gonna give me. And it
Uh-huh.
was our agreement too. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that this was possible. Like, you could give somebody over $1,000 and they give you $32.
Yeah, that doesn't
And
seem fair.
that's right. And it's like, this is how this works. This is, and
Yeah, you
then
were going to work exchanging your time, making money for a bigger company, and you're getting back just a couple hundred here and there.
And back then, minimum wage was $3.75.
Oh
So
my gosh.
my job, that's what I was earning. And he brought that to my attention, like, how much do you end your shift with? And it was like at Crystal, so like White Castle. You guys might have White Castle, but we have Crystals, and that's where I was working. So every day when I closed my shift, I I was like, I want to sell art, you know.
I want to have a
I
thousand
want to
dollars
sell
in my
art.
hand.
And my uncle's like, no, this is not for a woman, because it was an outdoor venue. Like, he just rented a spot outside of Subway,
Okay.
and he was there every day that it didn't rain or snow. Every day. He pretty much really did the work just by being consistent and being there every day, because this lady that I sold the art to, she was like, I pass by here all the time. So it was really him that did the work. I was
Yeah.
just there saying, "Oh, this will look good with that, and that'll look good with that." Like she had Polaroid pictures,
Oh, okay.
so it was easy for me to place art
Mm-hmm.
based on what he had in his, in stock. I called him every day. Back then we had pagers, so I
Yeah.
had to wait to get home. And he was like, "No, your grandmother's not gonna kill me. This is not for
Right,
women."
because it's like you're in school. I'm not gonna be the reason that you drop out of
That's
school.
what he's saying. I am not gonna be responsible. I was like, I want to do it. I'm gonna do it on the weekends, and that's when he agreed. He said, "Okay, I'll help you get your business license and all that, and I'll take you to where I buy everything from, but you got to be far away from my spot." So I
Because he knew,
chose.
Mimi, that one day you sat there and sold him all that stuff. He's like, she is competition. I'm helping you, but don't come ruin me.
Exactly. So I set up at a flea market that was only open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I didn't work on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What I did was set up on Saturday and Sunday because I still had my job, and then I still had school. So I couldn't have like three jobs because that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
I started to earn way more than I was making on my job. So on July 7th, 96, I resigned. I actually
Oh my
resigned
God.
2 weeks before that.
Mm-hmm.
So July 7th, 96, I was full time. You know how some people like, "Oh my God, it's scary. This is." I wasn't afraid at all.
I
I was
was
like,
about to ask, like, when you did it hit you? Like,
mm-mm.
so you knew this was it. You found a way and you're going to keep at it.
Yeah, and I still didn't know it was entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It was like I just sell art
Yeah.
at a flea market. Like it's so many people out here selling things, used clothes, new
Mm-hmm.
things. I mean, I knew it was a business because I had to get a business license and the tax ID and the resale license to actually go in and buy the things wholesale to resell them. So I understood that because he talked me through it and helped me get it and everything, but I still didn't know at 19, like, oh, you're a business owner,
Right.
you know?
Like the grand idea of
Yeah.
you are your own boss.
Wasn't thinking about anything like that. I was more so thinking like I have flexibility. Like I even hired after a few months, I hired a friend to sit there on the days I didn't want to go.
Look at you already.
Mhm. Mhm. His name was Cyrus. So yeah,
Wow.
like I was like, you can have, I even gave him more. Like, I even gave him like half of my profits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
So
that's
you
why
were
he
a
agreed
fair
to it.
boss too.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm still gonna earn at least what I was making on my job, working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Even if I split my $25, because if you sold one thing an hour, I'm at 12.50 an hour versus 3.75.
That's still winning.
Yeah, and then the spot was only like $50 a week.
Oh, okay.
So
So that wasn't bad.
yeah, because it was like a shared space. It
Mm-hmm.
was like a lot of vendors. It wasn't until I ventured off into real estate when I realized, like, okay, you're a business girl. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Like, do you think because that was kind of like the transition, right? Like you started selling, like you said, at this little space that you rented art pieces, and then you went into real estate. And then that's, as you mentioned before, where you started to see opportunity for multiple streams of income, and you started to incorporate other things that could tie and well together with your real estate business. And
And
this
in fact, it was my broker that really encouraged it. She was earning about $9 million a year in her business, and
back
she had
then.
she had 9 Remax offices. She owned a development company where she cleared land and developed land, and she had like a staffing service. she was a real boss. Yeah.
Wow. And you know what?
Yeah.
That's a real blessing. She was willing to share her knowledge
Yeah.
because you have people that know, and for whatever reason, sometimes they don't want to share it or whatnot. But I don't know. I'm probably going to have to like go back on that. And I think I might have mentioned this to you before. I feel that the people who know what it takes to create and design the life that you want, right? And they know, because it is hard work. I mean, it is hard work. I think sometimes people get a little disillusioned going into this type of, practice because they face challenges and then it's not the easy way out that they thought this was going to be, right? And they kind of quit and give up. But a lot of people, those that have created, designed, and have succeeded, whether in every way or many ways, they are actually more likely to share knowledge and share information and actually encourage others that are up and coming. I don't know why it is, why your everyday person, right, working a 9 to 5, and that's not to knock a 9 to 5 because I mean, this,
It's
I don't
important.
think, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's important. Yeah, exactly. And some people really, truly enjoy that and they feel satisfied with that. So I'm not knocking that at all. But for instance, I do find, and I don't know if this has been your experience, that there's a lot of people who are unsatisfied with their 9 to 5. They're unsatisfied with the treatment they receive at work. They're unsatisfied with their coworkers, their boss, everything about it. They're unhappy with it, but they're not willing to like take off and do something on their own. Those are the
Yeah.
people that, in my experience, have tried to knock me down the most.
A lot of time is projecting, and it's also maybe a little bit of I don't want to say tough love, but maybe that's the way they love.
Could
Like
be.
they don't want you to fail because most people want stability, and
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship
It
is
is
like
not.
you. Mm-mm. It's
Yeah.
not like this. Some people do come in and go up, and then they take that money and invest it in something, and they're good.
Mm-hmm.
That does happen. I can't knock that.
Yeah.
But most of the times, it's an emotional roller coaster,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
financial roller coaster. Yeah, you just have to, I would say, learn how to manage it. Yeah,
Yeah. I,
make
th-
better
I
decisions.
Yeah, I think managing, regulating how you make decisions, regulating your emotions, time management, and consistency are probably the three top that I think are likely to like yield really good results for you. Maybe not the results you want, but results that will be helpful in some way, to what you're
For
trying to
sure.
create every time. What, in your experience, what do you think is like the hardest thing for someone who wants to say, that's it, I'm done and I'm going to be my own boss? Like, once they start, they make the decision, they know what they're going to do, they kind of have a plan together. But based on your experience, what do you think is like the hardest thing of actually being your own boss?
The hardest thing is time management. If you're not disciplined, because you have some people like military, like those people, they're disciplined.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it becomes a part of their DNA.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Sometimes I wish I would have went in the military.
for
I
that,
was in
right?
I
To
was in
get those
ROTC,
skills.
so I would have came in at a little higher ranking.
Yeah,
Yeah, discipline and time management. You have to
yeah.
really treat it like it's a job. You really do.
I would probably agree with that. Like creating a schedule and sticking with it and showing up.
Sticking to the schedule.
Yeah,
Doing
that's
what you say you're
really
gonna do.
hard because when you
It's
do
hard.
have that freedom of like, oh, I don't have to go today. That's fine. Like, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what you're working for, right? To be able to say, I don't feel like showing up to work today, and you don't show up. But in the beginning,
Yeah.
you have to show
You have to
up,
show up.
even if it's
And
10 minutes.
eventually you will get to that point if you continue to build your business over the years, and like we were talking about multiple streams,
Mm-hmm.
and like me, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and I
Oh, I like
do
that.
think it's so many of us,
Yeah,
it's
I love that.
so
I
many.
don't know why I feel like I probably have room in that category because there's just
Yeah.
so much. So,
Yes, the thing is, I mean, we're in 2022 right
hmm
now. We all have multiple things that we want to do. I mean, the best way to go about it, if you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur, is master one thing. Like, you don't have to do full time all the things at once. You can master one thing and let it kind of build it. You build it, and then eventually, like for me with my drapery, I have so much work out in the
in
field
the
or in
field.
homes.
Hmm
The drapery worked for me now, but I had to
Build it.
get. Yes,
And
that's
that's
how you
something
do
that
it.
I admire from you so much. And just in general, like people who were so ahead, and started years ago.
Yeah, that's what
Because,
people don't.
yeah,
They
because
see the
you,
now, but
yeah, because now this seems easy. I mean, if you compare it to, it can still be hard for somebody barely starting out. So don't get discouraged if you're listening to this and you're like,
oh
"What? It's
yeah,
easy and I'm having difficulties." No, it's not easy. But when we're talking
not.
about back in the day, where you're using, if you can, a pager. You have to be passing out flyers, passing out cards,
All of
you
that.
putting all,
Like that's
yeah,
what I did.
that's
That's what
hard.
I
That's
did.
hard work.
It
That's so hard.
is because I know I had someone ask me a couple of weeks ago, like, how did I get into design or what I do? Because I've always been in the home decor industry because I started out selling art to help
Yeah.
elevate people's spaces, but I wasn't decorating. I just like I sold to decorators. I sold art to decorators, or you know, inspiring decorators, or people who just want to decorate their own house.
Right.
But it wasn't how I started. It was just I was always in that industry, so that's a way to get in the door of an industry that you really want to do. Like sometimes, like someone asked me, like, how do I start, right? So someone wanted to know, how do I get into it? Well, start in a small niche, and then
Branch
if you're
out.
afraid,
Mm-hmm.
start offering just something small if you're afraid, and then work your way up, because
Yeah.
that's what I did. Like, I didn't start out, I had no desire to decorate in the beginning, and I don't have any desire to decorate now.
Hey, but you're so good at it though, right? Because like we
I
were,
know, but
we
I
were,
don't
we
want
were.
to.
You're like, I don't want to do that. No, but even like you're with your drapery business, we were talking about that last time. How just you're not crazy about going into a space and like revamping the whole thing and saying, I'm going to do you this room, this space for you from top to bottom. So that's not your desire. But you do make a huge impact, right?
Hmm.
And you do elevate the space by what sounds like a simple thing, just placing the right drapery.
Hmm.
It already makes it look like a different room. So you're doing it without having to.
It
Yeah.
always makes a huge difference. Like, even if you go into a space and you're like, oh, this is okay, and then you go to some space and you're like, this is nice.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
with drapery, it just elevates any level
Yeah.
of the space. So,
It
I mean,
ties it
any
all
level.
together.
Mhm.
It ties it all
Mhm.
together because even if you have like key pieces, that are beautiful to
Mhm.
look at, but you kind of have like that bare space up against the window, or, it doesn't even look like anything. It doesn't show
Yeah.
off the pieces, but the drapers like really, really make it pop and make it come to
I
life.
remember my grandmother used to say, we used to like go to different places like model homes, or even if we visited people, like she wouldn't talk about their homes, but it was something about the window. She would say, imagine getting your face made up, and you're about to get married. Your whole bridal party is about to get married, and the makeup artist do your eyes, your your foundation, your blush, your lashes, and you have nothing on your lips, and everybody
Yeah.
turn around. They have this
Blank.
hole or this blank. That's what drapery is.
That's a
It's
good
the
way to describe
lipstick.
it.
It's the
Yeah,
lip
it's
gloss.
lipstick
It's the
for,
lipstick.
I know, for a room. Oh, that's cute. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's
I do
like,
like that.
and it always stuck with me. And then when I started decorating, I was like, okay, we got to do drapery, not curtains from Bed Bath and Beyond. Because there's nothing wrong with them. They can help too. They do
Mm-hmm.
help. But if you just want that elevated look, the
Yeah.
beautiful
The
pleats, and
custom to you.
yes,
Yeah.
the right size to
Yeah.
the window, because 84 inches too short for any window, if you ask me. That's how I started in that. So I transitioned from art to staging real estate because I had got my real estate license, and I started listing homes. Like right off the bat, my broker's like, "You want to list homes?" She approached me in a realtor class. She was teaching for the realtor. So, in order to, you have to have a certification to be a realtor, I believe. I don't know if
Mm.
they're still like that, but everybody can't call themselves a realtor. They could be
Yeah.
a real estate agent. I was getting my realtor certification, and she was teaching that class. And I had on Jordans, some short shorts. I mean, it was crazy. I was very different.
I know, because well, some people will see you on video, but I wish for whomever doesn't get a chance to see this and they're just listening, you are always so well put together. And there, it's not like you're out there, like you do a lot, like, but it's like very natural looking makeup, beautifully done.
Yeah.
Your hair, and I'm saying because again, this is like the second time we see each other and I'm all over the place and
No,
you're
you look
so
great.
well put together. But you have this cute little blazer on and your shirt, like it's when
Super simple, y'all.
yeah, but
Target.
beautiful.
Super
Like
simple.
it's funny because it's simple, but it's beautiful. And I think
Thank you.
again, like that probably has a lot to do with how you started your business, right? Like, oh, I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little bit out there, honestly. I was young with a baby from the projects. Like, we were just built different. But when I got exposed to my broker and started working with her, she started to like expose me to things. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel, I would say the key word really for someone who wants to jump out into entrepreneurship is find someone that's doing what you're doing. I don't know how you could get in with them, maybe work for them. That's pretty much what I did. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if I wasn't working with her and her broker in her brokerage, I'm pretty sure I never would have got to spend all that time I did with her. But it was exposure,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to be better. Like, I'm like, is this what people are doing? And it
Yeah.
wasn't even. I mean, it wasn't really nothing, but it was just something. It was just something
Different.
different. Yeah, it was just something different. Like, oh, like I don't have to curse people out
To get
every
my point
day.
across, or
Yeah. Now I can throw some curse words. I told my in the stories, I was like, listen, y'all, I'm so glad you guys are here because the page has been growing fast. And I said, I curse a little bit. I curse. So if you don't like
I'm human.
profanity, this is not the page for you.
Right. Yeah.
But before, yeah, that was like every other word.
Yeah, because you grow up with that, right? Like you grow up
Yeah.
with that. And that kind of like almost brings me to this next point, which I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with this like 1,000%. The people you surround yourself with are so important. Well, just for anybody, right? Like just to feeling better. It's part of like designing your space too. like clearing
Mm-hmm.
out what doesn't serve you and bringing in what elevates you as a human being. But for an entrepreneur, who you surround yourself with, what's coming into your mind, what are they feeding your spirit, is so important. Because in my opinion, when you don't have a solid group of people who are in your corner, genuinely in your corner, and are also themselves working to be better, that can be the difference in how much you struggle, I feel. Because I don't think it's
It,
impossible. I
we
think if you're
call
determined,
that big facts.
yes, yes, ma'am. Because if you have the determination and the motivation and like the you crave that, you can make it happen no matter who's around you, right?
That's true.
You can make it happen. But to surround yourself with people who are on your same level of wanting to be better, do better, learn, and feed, it's not just as simple as like positive energy, but feed that like fire, to your soul. That, in my opinion, is like key to just, it doesn't matter what's in your way, you're gonna go right through it because they're right there with you.
It's so true.
One of the reasons that I bring this up, because I'm sure you surround yourself, I know you're very careful with like your space and your energy and who you share it with and stuff. Like, I already know that of you as a person. But in me saying this, what I think about is Kike, you and her, right? That was like your best friend.
Best. That's my Canadian bestie.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss her so
She
much.
was amazing. The
Yeah.
energy she would just inject into things she did, into you pumping people up. I mean, I never got a chance to work directly with her. It was in the books to do it, but I never, unfortunately, got a chance to. But we did interact quite a
Yeah.
bit. And she was so genuine about cheering people on, even if she didn't know you on a personal level. Like, she made me smile. And
Yeah.
so,
She's a beautiful person.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful person. And so that's what I think of when I think of you and what I'm saying, because I saw that connection between you and her. And I'm sure that had a lot to do with, also your personal growth and your business growth, too, having people like that in your corner.
Oh, absolutely. And having people that you can relate to and who's actually been on your journey, this is really important too. Like, not only people who are trying to go where you're trying to go, but people who are already there. It's you need a mix because sometimes we're always trying to go. We're gonna be always trying to go, you know.
Yeah.
So it's important. And I initially met Kike in network marketing, and then we just like knew each other because of our ranks and everything in the company. But where we really became good friends was in Marie Forleo's B School.
Oh,
Yeah, that's another way to get around the people who you need to be around is to buy their courses.
yes.
Invest in yourself. I had posted something like my color, blah, 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 coordinated notebook. And she's like, whoever this chick is, like, I know her, but I'm about to know her. And she messaged me, and that's how we really
Started.
got to know each other. Like, we already knew of each other, but we really got to know each other through B school. So,
Yeah, that's actually a really good piece of advice too. Like, invest in yourself first of all. So always be looking for personal development, whether it
mhm,
be like towards your business or just yourself, right?
mhm.
And then buy other people that you admire, like their stuff or whatever. Buy their stuff.
Mhm.
Look into
There's
what
so
they're
many
doing.
shortcuts in it all too. Not that
Yeah,
you're trying to get a shortcut, but just imagine not having to go through all the issues that you can avoid a
reinvent the
lot
wheel.
of yeah, you can avoid a lot of stuff that you don't want to deal with just by when people say let me pick your brain. No, buy their course and pick that course.
Right, because
You
because
know?
when somebody is sharing a course or a piece of information, something, whatever, it's their
Video,
brain
whatever it is.
laid out, on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's important. Plus, you're helping each other out. Like, that's what it's about, too, you know? But,
And it gets you in their ecosystem too. If you really want to know them, like what Marie does, she spotlights success stories for people who actually use her course, and they document, like, they can show her, I did this from what you taught me, and she definitely wants to get that information out there. And you get closer to the creator of the course, who eventually, I mean, if they shared your story with their network, you get more exposure.
yeah, and you're right. It is
It's,
like an ecosystem of everybody like learning from each other, and then somebody adds a little more, and then you're not having to do it all on your own. It's like everybody
absolutely.
coming together, and that's the best way. I always, and this is like irrelevant, but I always, on top of the fact that Kike was like so wonderful, and like I said, just such a beautiful human being, I also have her always so present because my oldest son, shares a birthday with her. So
Oh,
when she found that out, every eighth, I would congratulate her and wish her a great day. But she would always message me and say, "Wish my birthday twin a happy birthday," and that was just special to me, because she didn't
yeah.
have to do that. So that's just who she was. She was just so great.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
she really, really was. Now, I know we're sitting here and talking about like, oh, how you pump yourself up and surround yourself with the right people and like get that fire going in you. And it's super exciting, right? And I think usually this type of talk is what gets somebody like, I can do this. I can do this. I'm excited and I'm energized and I can design my own life starting today. But there's also, like we were mentioning earlier, a lot of like roller coasters and choosing to create a path of this sort for yourself. In your experience, right? Because I know that everybody faces things differently and they deal with them differently. But in your opinion or in your experience, what do you think is like the best way to like sort of get yourself unstuck? Because there's moments when you will hit roadblocks, and not necessarily roadblocks that are there being placed there by somebody else, but like even our own self. Like sometimes we just get stuck. We get like down on ourselves. I know a lot of times I feel like, and I've told you this before, like in my head, I'm like going 100 miles per hour, but my body's like, you're not going anywhere, right? And
Yeah.
nothing happens. So like what has been kind of like, or some of the ways that you have been able to work through things like that?
The number one tool, I call it a tool, the number one tool I use to get myself unstuck is scripting. Do you know anything about that?
I don't, but I'm listening.
So, well, I'm going to say scripting and reverse engineering.
Okay.
Scripting is like writing out like a screenplay, your ideal life or your ideal work life, or whatever it is you want to achieve. Like, write it as if it's happening. Like, this morning I woke up, I had my coffee, checked my email, and looked to see that I have 7 appointments today. The first client is this kind of style. Let's say for me, like the first client, the second, just maybe I'll just say 3 clients and describe, oh, they sent me their pictures, or they sent me their goal, because I have multiple businesses, so it's going to be different things. Then I will go on to say, oh, it went like this, like literally making up some shit, you
Right.
know?
Like your ideal in that moment.
Yeah,
This
like
is
as if
okay.
it's happening the way you want it to happen. And it really does change your emotions.
Would it be fair to say it's sort of like a way of manifesting, but like a different way? Because I know some people believe in manifesting and I'm never, I don't know how I feel about the word manifesting now. Before
I
I
think
was,
manifesting is a good thing. I don't know if it's the way I see you do manifest things, but I feel like a lot of the manifestations come through doing.
And that's what I was going to say. I feel like the reason why I don't necessarily, like, I'm not 100% on board with the word itself right now is because it's been attached to just wishing and dreaming and not doing.
Yeah, but it takes all of that, right? So let's say someone plays the lottery. They're like, they want to manifest $100,000. Let's just say me, I'm like, Julie, I want to manifest $100,000 to the laundry. Do laundry? Do I have laundry to do? Do the
Sure, whatever you want. That's the beauty of this.
The lottery. I meant to say the lottery. I want to invest $100,000 through the lottery, but I don't play lottery.
Right.
So how can I manifest it if I don't play?
Right.
But someone who plays it, and if they do hit that number and get that money, if someone says I manifest 100,000, no one can really knock them for saying that because they actually did do something, which was play.
Yeah.
They invested their $1.
They went to the store.
Whatever. They got in their car. They put their
drove.
shoes on, all that stuff. So manifesting, even if you don't work, okay, let's just say someone says I manifested $1,000 out of nowhere, like, but if they really look back, like they did something, whether it was write it down, thought about it, because it's really the feeling, the emotion, the feelings that do pull things to you. And it's just like too, when God says, or what they say in the Bible, Jesus says, if you take one step, I'll take two. Even that one step could be just writing.
Yeah.
We don't know. So I don't really knock it, but I'm a master manifester. I can say that. Like, I do manifest
Yeah.
like crazy. I probably should do a video course on it. Like, I do manifest most of the things, like 99% of the things that I put my mind to manifesting.
But you would say that scripting too has been the thing for you, though.
Because it gets you, because the funk is always mental.
Absolutely.
So if you're really like writing, like this morning I woke up, and when I like to talk to people about, when I talk to people I'm manifesting, it's always, don't really try to think about the thing you want. Think about the doing to get it. Like, if you want to manifest 5 new clients, maybe see yourself creating posts, see yourself, like, whatever it is that's going to get you those clients. Like, see yourself talking in front of a group of people, whatever it is that's going to get you those clients. Like, that's what you focus on, not the end result. Focus on
the action to get there. I can see how that would work too, because it's almost like, I don't know about you, but I do better when I cross things off a list.
Checklist is the big deal for me.
I mean, yeah, huge, because I always know what I have to do. Always. Like, in my head, it is there. But if I don't write it down, I'm pushing it to the back of the line, because I'm like, oh yeah, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this. But I'm not visually reminding myself, you haven't crossed it out, right? So it's kind of like that. It's like you're writing it out, and now you're following this.
And then, you reverse engineer. It's like you write down your ideal life, your ideal day. What did you do to get to this point of this thing you want? And now you go back and you reverse engineer it, one by scheduling things and doing the things. That's another way to get out of a funk. It's like following a schedule, or create a system and follow it. Now, it's going to get boring. Like, entrepreneurship is boring.
Yeah.
It really, it's not.
It can be
It just
tiring and
depends on
boring.
what you do.
Yeah.
It's not, I can't put every industry, no, It's not every industry, but I would say the mundane things, it feels like, I'm just doing the same thing. Like, when I had a job, I'm doing the same thing every day over and over.
Yeah.
Well, but you're doing it on your own time, you
And you're
know.
creating something that, because I can say that sometimes the little things of like, I have to follow up with this thing. I have to look for, for instance, here with a podcast, who do I want to have on next? Okay, let me do a little bit of research. Let me see what I want to ask. It can feel a little like tedious almost, but I'm
Mhm.
excited about doing it, like the end result, right?
You're excited about the end result, so you got to do all these things, and
Yeah,
then you get this satisfaction. But a lot of people just kind of they get stuck in the doing,
yeah,
and also have some accountability too.
yeah.
If you
Oh,
have like
yeah.
a few accountability partners, like some real ones who, like I have real accountability partners. Like if we don't do something, we have to pay.
Oh,
Like,
yep.
and
That'll
it's
get
not
people
ten
holding
dollars.
themselves accountable.
It's not $10 either. Like it's important to have accountability. So if you want to get unstuck, you want to move forward in your business,
And you don't want to
get
dip
around,
into your wallet.
get you some people who willing to put up some money.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
sometimes you're gonna win. That's gonna excite you.
Right?
You're like, oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, writing out the schedule is amazing. It's
Oh
the
yeah, for
best
sure.
thing. Yeah, that's really good advice. And this leads me to what I was about to bring up because, well, before I do, I want to share something, which I have also told you years because we have sort of been in each other's space, social media space for a while. There's people that I look up to, that I follow, and I see the work that they do. And there's a lot of and in that pool of people is you. A lot
Yeah.
of things that I look to you for inspiration sometimes, even though what we're doing is not the same thing. But there's things that I do take away from the things that you share. And I'm appreciative of that, right? Because you're just posting to post. You have no clue that I'm being inspired by it, right? Yeah, or maybe you are trying to inspire people, but you don't always get the feedback, right? So this is me
Mm-hmm.
telling you, yes, you do. You inspire me quite often.
Thank you.
With that being said, would you say that you've had like different mentors throughout your life, or have you had maybe one particular mentor? Because I know you say you've actually gotten people who have taught you and taken the time to like show you different
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
But would you say that you have one mentor that has this person just like I never want to let go of because they teach me so much or they inspire me so much? Or is it really just different people in your life throughout the
It's
years?
different. Yeah. It really depends on your stage, like what stage you are in life and in business. People who are regular people are some of my mentors. Some people who don't even have a business, but they're
Mm,
like crushing it in life. Like they might be an amazing wife,
yeah.
or an amazing mom or amazing business person. So I would say I have a few mentors, not just one who I look to, who just I would say who just impacted my life like totally. Of course, my broker, but that was so many years ago, and she's since retired and traveling. But also books.
Yeah.
I have mentors that don't know I exist.
Right. Yeah.
Books.
Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, courses. But for the most part, yeah, that's just my personal journey. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that probably makes sense because just listening to you here, there are people in my life who are not interested in creating something outside of their 9 to 5, because they are quite comfortable with it because it's a good job, it's a good paying job. It
Hmm.
does give them some flexibility, and they're comfortable and okay with that. But they do inspire me because maybe their character, their
Hmm.
character, their word, they're people that of their word. They're
Hmm.
responsible with like their time management or, yeah. So you're right. Like there's just a lot of
Hmm.
people that you can take little bits and pieces from and apply it to your own life.
Yeah.
There was something else that I wanted to ask you. Yeah, because I was wondering like who your most influential person or entrepreneur would be. But I mean, that kind of falls with what we were just discussing. Like,
Yeah, it's different. So entrepreneurs, so let me see. Off the bat, I'm really inspired by Nadia Casanova, Style by Casanova. Like she's crushing it in the lifestyle home. Like she works at home and that's my whole goal. Like to
yeah,
like literally to work 100% from my home. Like
yeah,
now I go up to, into people's home on consultations and everything. And I also meet with people about businesses in person, like, partnering them in different things. But to her, she's just like crushing it and just building her brand. And so that's one of my people that I really, really look up to. Who else? Dana Bolden is
yeah.
another person. She's getting ready to launch. I think she launched it no, she's launching it on the 7th, I think, a leisure clothing brand. And she's
Oh,
done, yeah, she's lifestyle content creator. Really look up to her. Who else? I would say those two off the top of my head.
that you're like, yes,
There's a
I wanna
like
learn
these
from them.
girls are killing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like winning.
I don't think that we were, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there listening feels differently, but I don't think we were meant to kill ourselves outside working. Even if, because I know there's certain jobs that are needed that do require, a lot of like physical labor and whatnot. But even in those, I don't think that we were created to like break our backs
Yeah.
and then just
Yeah.
die. Like I don't
Some
know if
people like
it's
work 20 hours a day. They said that it's something I read something about when the light bulb was created. That's when cuz people used to work using the sun. So they would work in the
oh
morning and when it got dark, they shut it off. But when the light bulb was created, now you have the night shift. You can
yeah, because you
see.
can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely some engineer shit.
Yeah. I have a friend who's an engineer. I'm gonna say, excuse me, sir. No.
No, I mean like when I say engineered, I mean like man-made.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Manufactured. Yeah, by man.
Manufactured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right because I know there's like debate, or I've heard like debate in the psychology world where they say whether we sleep and rest because it's a form of survival, because like the night falls and it's like you kind of go and crawl into your little cave or whatever, to not get like attacked or preyed upon. And others say, no, it's like part of like your internal clock. Like you need to reset. So there's debate between those two things. But at
I
the
don't
end of the
believe the
day,
latter.
yeah,
The other
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Like
no.
you gotta get some rest. Like I
I
cannot
feel so
imagine.
too.
I've been up like I would say 2 days. You get ready to travel. You're like, you don't go to sleep, but you crash. And that's how you know.
Yeah. Like that's not normal. You're not supposed to be doing this. Like this past weekend, I went to this little event from a local mom group here. They are doing amazing things with like just as a group and then now extending out to the community. And I was invited to it and it wasn't even that much. Like I wasn't even there that long. It was from like, but it was the hours that threw me off because it was from 9 to 1 o'clock in the morning.
9 at night?
Yeah, I know. Like I don't even.
That's different.
And the reason there was a reason because I think like it was like a little event center, and obviously they had blocked out time throughout the day, and since the person, the host of this event, didn't want interruptions. They didn't want us to be like rushing us out of there to get the next party in. They chose the last slot, which I guess was smart because it was a lot of people, and to be rushing all those moms out it was gonna be crazy. So she was like, well, that's like I chose the last spot so we can all like be comfortable. So it was like dinner from 9 to 10. And then after, it was going to be like entertainment and music and stuff. So it was fun. I have not done that, Mimi, in over 20 years.
I know.
Like at all.
It's like going to the club, right?
Yes, which was it's so crazy because I just sat there and watched everybody and listened to the music. But there was so much happening that I'm not used to anymore, that all day the next day, I felt hungover and I don't even drink.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even drink.
Did you drink at the party?
No, because I don't drink.
Yeah, see.
I was like, why am I so tired? And I was just like on my couch and, but that's because I need rest.
Yeah.
We
all do.
Yeah, I can't.
Some people need less rest than others. Some people can live off of 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I mean, everybody's body is different.
But you do need downtime.
They do go to sleep, you know? Even if they take cat naps.
There's a guy that I follow. He's a photographer. And I mean, he's like an entrepreneur. This man has done everything. I have so much respect for him too. But he says, I don't need more than like 3, maybe 4 hours. And when he said that, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're on, but... And he's like, no, that's just how I work. Yeah, but he does say, but the hours that I know, it's not even just the amount of time he needs to rest. It's like, I know that from this time to this time, I need it to be my downtime. And make sure that I'm like, I don't care who you are. My phone's away, my computer's away, everything's off. And so he gets like the rest that his body, his brain needs. Yeah. But oh God, let me tell you, the next day I looked from this last weekend, I looked like I had partied hard, and I did. I did not.
Maybe you need to go out a couple of times a month.
Maybe, because I came home and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even dance because there was so much happening that I didn't even like get to do that. But I was tired. It was a good time though. It was worth it.
Well, that was good.
Yeah,
at least you had a good time.
Yeah, and it was
a whole suck if you'd be tired and you'd have a good time.
I know, and I'm sitting there like, this is boring. No, it was fun. It was fun. But I wanted to ask you to close out. What is something that gives you hope right now?
Right now, what gives me hope is just really being alive to be able to share my story. Because now my story has evolved to something else, and I know as time goes by, I'm going to be able to share information with people to help them because they're going to experience, some of the things that I've experienced in the recent past. So yeah, it just gives me hope that I will make an impact on someone's life, even if it's one person. That gives me hope. That's what gets me out of bed now.
Yeah.
A month ago, nothing got me out of bed.
I know. But, I can't even imagine. Yeah. And I actually, because obviously I don't know exactly what it has been with losing your son, your only child. I don't know what that's like, but I'm not surprised. And like, I know this is probably cliche and so redundant, but I'm not surprised because the little bit that you have shared, and that I know about you, I'm not surprised that you're taking this and you're going to do something with it, right? As a way to heal. Because I don't know what I would do in a situation like that. I want to think that, yes, I would take that and not let it just kind of like keep me down and do something with it as a way to honor my loved one as well. But I honestly don't know if I could, right? Like, you don't know until you're in that moment. But it doesn't surprise me that that's kind of like the route that you are allowing that to help you move forward and do something with it. I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah. And it's really just living. I don't know if I'm going to do anything in particular. It's just getting through it and living,
Mm-hmm.
because I've joined a group and I see some people do just check out,
Yeah.
you know, and they have every right to,
Yeah.
they do. They have every right to. So when I say that, it's just really not in particular like starting some organization or anything like that. I'm just so far away from that
Yeah.
right now. Like, it's no way I could do that right now. But it's just the little day to day things, I just kind of write, like, okay, how did I get through today? And even if I can share that little journal with someone who, may experience a loss of a child in the future, then it may help them, you know?
Yeah.
So nothing grand, big,
Oh no,
just,
yeah, absolutely. But even like I said, even in thinking of like this can help someone, I don't know that I would even have like the mental space to even have that. You know what I
okay.
mean? You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised by that. Is what I'm saying. That you are like, this is my journey right now. This is what I'm experiencing right now, and sharing however it is that I'm going to share, however it presents itself, the opportunity. Then I'm going to do it because it may help somebody. To
Yeah.
me, that kind of sums up
Mm-hmm.
in a very beautiful way the person that you are.
I'm
I
not gonna
know.
cry.
I'm already crying.
My cries are so ugly.
You're
No
one of
one wants to
mine.
see them.
You're one of mine. And my face like puffs up. And it's just hard to find in the human mind. It's
Mhm.
hard to find any light to something like that. The fact that
Time.
yeah. And the
Hmm.
fact that little light shines through just your desire to even make an impact as you're going through it, because this is so recent, you know?
Yeah. And
And I
I'll
don't,
tell you, in the beginning, it was so far from my mind. But like we talked before we got on before we started recording, like, you just feel your loved one. You kind of feel them a little bit, like that little nudge, like, come on, girl, get up. Especially my son, he was a get up and go person. Like,
yeah,
he would be so he would understand, in the beginning, but I don't know if he would even put a timeline on it either, but he'll be like, come on, mom, like, let's go. Like, we gotta go. Get up. Gotta
yeah.
go help some people. So that's kind of what I hear in the back of my head now. Like, don't be sad. I'm in a good place. I'm like,
And you have a little one around, a
yeah.
grandson.
Maybe next time we'll bring.
Yeah, we'll bring him on.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
will be
Pax made an
pulling and
appearance.
try to touch the camera.
He would steal
Like,
the
is
show.
this FaceTime?
I
He'll be
know.
asking all kind of call Auntie Julie.
I
Like, I want to
know.
see her hair.
I know, right? My hair and the lights in the background. I had
Yeah.
somebody on recently. He's a good friend of my husband's. They served together, and he's a grandfather now. And so, but he's like
Oh.
big guy. Like his presence, you can feel it and you can sense it. But he
Mhm.
is such a pushover with his
When it comes to
granddaughter.
the grandbaby,
Like
yes,
she
it's something
was,
different about him. I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's something different.
Yeah, I heard
Definitely.
somebody say it, not that you love them more than your own child, because that wouldn't be the
Hmm.
right thing to say, like the right way to explain it. But I heard him say they're an extension of your like your heart walking around you, like an
Yeah.
extension of your heart, your children, and so therefore it's
Yeah.
like that special, different type of love. You know, I
Yeah.
can't
They're
wait.
more fun.
Yeah, and then you don't
Yeah,
have to
they're
raise
more
them,
fun.
really.
I think I posted this quote that I saw somewhere. Maybe I saw it on Pinterest. It's like, if I knew being a grandparent was like this, I would have did this first.
Yeah, exactly.
And it
Exactly.
feels like that, like, because when you're a parent, especially when, like, you have multiple children, but
Hmm.
I only had one, so I was like to the book kind of, we got to
Right.
do this and blah, blah, blah. But now with my grandma, I'm like, let him go.
Let him be
It's
free.
like
Yeah. Yeah. And I
it's
was
very
like that
different.
with my first one. With my first one, because it was
Mm-hmm.
like, first of all, you were younger, you had the energy, and then it's like your first time trying something, so you don't want to get it
Mm-hmm.
wrong, right? Like you're thinking
Yeah.
everything's like, if I don't do this, then it's gonna be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, wherever it is that we get that idea from, I don't know, but yeah, I was very like, no, 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 don't do that. No, you're
Yeah.
gonna hurt yourself. Oh my gosh, no, and like she was just always perfectly done.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more kids I started to have, I was like, they're just kids. Relax,
Yeah. Yeah.
relax. And it's okay that they're like uncomfortable and letting you know right now. Like, I don't know, you
Mm-hmm.
just, and then also I think after having it done the first time around, like you with your son, now your grandson comes around, you feel more like you're better, like you're well seasoned with it now. So you trust yourself better now and you're like
Yeah.
easier on yourself, probably. Because I
Yeah.
do.
I have so many. It's so different. Like, I don't believe in spankings
Yeah,
anymore.
neither do I.
Um, it's so different.
I bet he's
It's
so
fun.
cute too. He's
Thank
so
you.
cute. So cute.
He is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just love him so much, and I'm
Yeah.
just blessed that he chose to come in our lives.
And at the moment that he chose to come, what a beautiful way for like the universe and God to
Hmm.
say this little package is gonna come at the perfect
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Before I let you go, because I've already taken up so much of your time, and I asked you this last time, but I'm gonna ask you again, and I kind of am curious to see if anything has shifted from just a few weeks ago to now. If you were to go and transition today, what is it that you would want people to remember about you or remember you by?
The same. I would want people to remember me by helping women just live well, build a business that allows them to work from anywhere and take care of themselves and their families.
Yeah.
I want to be known for that. Not drapery. I mean, I love my drapery. I
Yeah.
love it. But that kind of impact, it hits different.
Mm-hmm.
Help someone build something.
Yeah. And be proud of themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be known
Absolutely.
for.
Well, you guys heard it. And if anybody's interested, how can they find you? Where can they find you?
Everywhere at MiMi Zackery. Maybe you'll post it
Yeah,
here.
I will. I'll link it. I'll link it for everybody. But yeah, so
MiMi
Instagram,
Zackery.
Facebook.
MiMiZackery. Because a lot of people spell it CACHA. But for the
Mm,
podcast,
yeah.
Zackery. MiMi.
And yeah, and I'll be sure to link all your social media stuff.
Thank you.
Well, Mimi, this was really great. It's always great talking with you anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm glad.
same here.
All
It's
right,
always
every
great talking to
single
you
time.
too.
And then maybe we can do something in the future together. I don't know, because this is
Yeah.
me putting it out in the universe and I'm going to now script it out. And I'll hit you
Yes.
up later.
Me too, because, I will talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So do I. All righty. Well, it was nice having you, and I'll see you around, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Take care.
you. Thank you. You too.